Hi, welcome to another episode of the Lawson Show. Today we are talking about alcohol, and it's quite a popular subject at the moment. We're going to talk about the culture around alcohol, especially in the UK, how different it was for me growing up in Spain as a teenager and the shock coming here when I was 19. Some practical tips if you would like to stop drinking or reduce your drinking. Liv talks about her experience as a non-drinker. She's never really drunk alcohol. I talk about my experience as someone who does drink moderate amounts, and a 60-day period last summer when I didn't drink at all. And I felt really amazing and would quite like to do the same again. But yeah, it's difficult. So yeah, we'll discuss all of those topics. Yeah, welcome back, Liv.
Thanks, nice to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming. So we're going to talk about alcohol.
We are. Yeah.
A lot of people are talking about alcohol at the moment. There's quite a few podcasts just about alcohol, right?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about a couple of different things around alcohol. And I think where I'm going to start is this deep ingrained belief that if you don't drink, it's boring or you're boring, which I think is really like to sort of dig into that. So it's
interesting.
It is interesting. So on the way here, I was thinking, did I need to do some kind of preamble around, I felt like I needed to say, hey everyone, I'm not some puritanical zealot. Like, I'm all up for people having fun and doing whatever they like, you know, as long as you're not hurting other people, you know, do what you like. I'm very much, you know, libertarian in that sense of the word. And then I thought, why do I feel this sort of angst around potentially, well, not potentially, but, you know, criticising alcohol and aspects of alcohol? Because actually, none of the stuff we're going to say is made up or untrue. No. And I think a lot of people will, but I think, well, you've got a lot of experience with this, but people don't like to hear this stuff, which is also very interesting. So I'm not going to apologise. And if it bothers you, then maybe you need to think about, you know, your relationship with alcohol.
Yeah.
So you are a non-drinker?
Yeah.
How would you refer to yourself if you had to give yourself a label, which people love?
Yeah, I've never thought about that. I just don't drink. That's what I say to people. I just don't really drink.
Yeah.
That's how I answer it. Yeah. Normally.
And you've never really drunk?
No, I delved into it when I was a teenager, like most people. But I just, it never stuck. There's many reasons why, but it never really is something I've enjoyed.
Does it make you feel ill? Because some people, I can't remember the name, there's some people who are missing something due to their genetics, that it will instantly make you feel really sick and horrible, and you can't touch it. A lot of people go very red in the face.
I do. I go very red in the face actually for most things because I'm quite pale. So exercise, alcohol, slightly too hot, slightly too cold.
Right.
So I definitely have that. I feel hot, bothered, tired, stressed. And I don't get that high that other people get from alcohol.
Yeah. Well, so I'm no expert on the sort of biological side of it, but I've listened to quite a few podcasts about it, and one particular I'll recommend later. But some people lack I don't know what it is, not very sciencey as you can see, the enzyme or the ability to because alcohol is a poison, basically.
Yeah.
And some people just cannot process it, deal with it at all. And in a way, lucky for you, people who get an enormous high and they stay on a high, because most people, which we'll come on to, get a bit of a high and then they have a gradual crash. Some people, it makes them feel amazing. They're much, much more likely to become dependent on alcohol. So the fact that you feel pretty lousy is a good thing in that you don't have a propensity then.
Yeah, it's definitely helped me. Yeah, it's just always made me feel unwell. when I experimented when I was a teenager, I would be seen as like a lightweight. I just couldn't really handle my drink. And I just decided that it just wasn't for me. And then, yeah, I think since then, almost that feeling of feeling so unwell is not worth it.
No, exactly.
So, yeah, from then on, I've kind of just not really drunk anything.
Yeah. And do you find that difficult?
Yeah.
What sort of stuff people say to you?
Yeah, I think when I was a teenager, I just kind of tried to carry on anyway, because I thought, well, all my friends are doing it. I need to fit in. I need to be part of the crowd. I need to go drinking down the park at the time, which now I look back is so dangerous. But at the time, it was like doing all these things to stay in my clique of group of friends. So anything outside of that would have been lame or, oh, stop being so boring. That was the sort of stuff I'd hear if I was like, oh, I think I've had enough now. It was a lot of peer pressure. I also wasn't eating enough at the time. So I think that did also contribute to my lack of being able to drink as much as everyone else was, and being a lot more unwell the next day than most people. So, yeah, I think back then it was like very childish. You're so boring. Oh, why won't you join in? So that was really the peer pressure then. Then when I got to my 20s, I went through a big stint of not drinking anything really. And I didn't put myself in situations. I actively didn't go out. So that gave me the excuse. It was just, oh, Liv doesn't really go out. And then it wasn't really the drinking thing. It was more, she doesn't really like clubbing, which is more accepted, I think, than the drink. And when I was at uni, obviously everyone was going out a lot. So I just kind of avoided it because I thought I don't really want to have to explain myself. And then when I was about 25, I thought, no, actually, I really do enjoy going out. Now I feel more strong in myself. I'm going to start going out again. And I was faced with a lot of questioning. A lot of it was, oh, some people thought I had a problem with alcohol, which is why I now can't drink it. So they were like, oh, you're not drinking. Or it would be, oh, are you pregnant? Or any of the it was quite extreme. They thought the reason for me not drinking was an extreme reason.
Yeah.
And then just other things oh, that could never be me. I'd find this so hard to do. And there'd be a judgment. Almost felt like I was judging them almost.
Yeah.
Oh, how do you do that? How do you have fun? This is how I switch off. Yeah, there's a lot of judgments from other people that get thrown at you when you say, no, thank you, to a drink.
Yeah.
But the biggest one when I was thinking about this topic is around celebrations. So more recently, I've had weddings to go to or birthday parties, and people have been handing around wine, or at weddings, there's always a toast at weddings. So I'd toast and then I'd have a sip and then I'd put it down and people would be like, oh, you're not drinking that. It's like I was almost rejecting the celebration by not drinking. That's harder to deal with, actually. That's something that still gets to me because I don't want to be seen as not celebrating the people around me, but I just don't want to drink. It's as simple as that, really.
That's a tricky one, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's because it's alcohol. Because if you, let's say you were celiac and you can't eat gluten,
and
it's a birthday and it's a birthday cake, and that's the celebration piece, and you say, I'm all right, thanks, I can't eat gluten.
Yeah.
No one would say, oh.
No.
But because it's alcohol, and I think it is this, and we, when you say to people, I'm not drinking, you're not judging those people that are drinking.
No.
But you can feel that they're somehow feeling that and imagining that that's what you're doing when you're not. And so it's all really uncomfortable. Yeah, I've really struggled with that when you say, well, no, I'm all right, thanks. Oh, God, well, actually, no, I'm not drinking at the moment. And then this whole, well, why not? And it's so much more about them that you're kind of holding a mirror up. It's not your fault, but they don't want to look in that mirror and think, oh, maybe I shouldn't drink, or,
Yeah, I also think what came up for me then is like the judgment of, I've also had people be like, oh, you're like, you don't need to worry, just have a drink, it's like not that bad for you. It's like, you know, if you're like, it's almost like the same judgment you get if you say, oh, I'm eating a certain way, or like, oh, I'm going to a PT, so I'm not going to have that. Or like, it's that same, oh God, you're doing that. Like, it's, you always have to have a reason. And it's that thing of like indulging and not being part of indulging in that. People are like, you're lacking something if you don't do this. That's almost like that, oh, let yourself have one.
Let your hair down.
Let your hair down, that kind of like, and actually the reasoning might actually just be, I don't want to feel crap the next day. I want to have a good night's sleep and not be anxious for a whole week after I've had a drink. So there's a lot of pressure, especially more so in my early 20s, but in my 20s in general, there was a lot of pressure around this no drinking.
Yeah, I think that is the worst period to that pressure. Definitely. Yeah. Because it's such a cultural thing, and I think, I don't really know where it's come from. It must be because it's everywhere. There is effectively a brainwashing, probably the alcohol industry. I mean, every advert for alcohol, everyone's, happy and beautiful, and, you can't celebrate without alcohol. And that's really ingrained in my brain because I grew up with that sort of, alcohol for celebrations. And if there's no alcohol, it's not really a celebration, is it?
It's interesting.
Yeah. It's not your 18th birthday if you don't get taken down the pub. Or,
or you don't go out clubbing with your mates. Have a drink.
So I think it's and every movie and TV show, and I'm always like, find it so weird that American TV shows, they'll show like a business scene and then they'll like be pouring massive whiskies in the office. So like, who has bottles of whiskey in the office? I just don't think that happens in real life, but it's always portrayed, film, it's everywhere. Isn't it? It's constant, which is effectively what brainwashing is.
Yeah.
So we've all been brainwashed. And I think in this country, it's really particularly bad.
Yeah, we've got a culture for binge drinking.
Really.
And normalising it and actually glamorising it.
Yeah, and not just glamorising, that thing we were talking about earlier about, it's a sort of badge of honour.
Yeah.
How much you drank last night. And we're trying to think of an equivalent of, I mean, women do this as well, but, I associate it more with young blokes. I had 20 pints and, you wouldn't brag about eating 20 Mars bars or I had 20 portions of fish and chips.
Yeah.
So it's this thing about, and people call you lightweight, and it's somehow you're a lesser person because you're physiologically not able to process a poison.
Yes.
And you're not hard and you're not cool. And it's really effed up.
It is, but also career. When I was speaking just then, I don't know why it came to mind. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. But I remember your previous career in marketing and advertising. Would you not have to take clients out and drink as part of your job?
Yes.
And I know in London, when I was working in London, I'd come out and there'd be the pubs would be heaving at like 2 p.m.
Yeah.
And it would all be like people in their suits working, having working lunches, drinking.
Yeah.
Probably on the company card. And they're encouraged to do that. To like make money and business.
Yeah.
That's a whole other like...
That was a big part of my job.
Yeah.
Was entertaining clients and getting them drunk, basically.
Which, when you think about it, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I didn't really drink until I started that career in advertising in London.
Yeah.
I wasn't a very big drinker at all. In fact, when I grew up in Spain as a teenager, I don't know what it's like now, but it's more drinky than Italy, but it's not that drinking culture that we have. And teenagers are given a bit of wine at home with their food. We always were as well. And that's how I've been with my children. So that it was never this kind of, this forbidden thing that as soon as I'm 18, I'm going to get twatted and, you know, or trying to do it illicitly. But we just didn't get drunk as teenagers. Extremely rare that you'd see a drunk teenager in Spain. We did smoke, but we'd drink, you know, Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And the alcohol in Spain, I mean, when you order a gin and tonic in Spain, it's literally a glass of gin, huge measures, and then they give you the tonic on the side, and you kind of...
Yeah.
So you can drink a lot. But when I moved back to the UK, I went to university here, and I hadn't lived in the UK since I was about 12, so I didn't kind of know it as a young adult, so I was 19. And it was Freshers Week, and I was just like, I was so confused and aghast, and the drinking games. And then I remember going, it was quite a big rugby sort of university, and going into this bar, and all the boys had their willies and their pints. And like, I was like,
drinking games.
Oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like this. I felt really
shocked.
So shocked. Like a sort of, you know, it was a whole different world.
Yeah.
And I remember being at parties and they were doing drinking games, and I remember quite vividly they would, I don't know, it was throw a ball around if it landed in your glass.
Yeah.
One of those.
Yeah, like beer pong.
Yeah. And it was a big glass of really shit white wine.
Yeah.
Really nasty, like slightly warm. And my father was really into wine, so I grew up drinking very nice wine and just small amount, but I was, you know, already a wine snob at age 19. And this guy said, down it. And I went, fuck off, I'm not downing it. Sorry, we'll have to put an explicit warning. And he went, well, you have to. I said, I don't have to do anything. And I remember that, like, there was just literally like everyone looking at me like, what the hell? And I could just feel, right, well, I'm never going to get invited here again. But I said, there's no way I am downing that to please some guy who I've never met and couldn't give two shits about what he thinks. But I just remember being so like, what, this is...
Well, and they're probably not used to people saying
I cannot understand this at all. Why would I want to do that?
Yeah.
So I didn't drink loads. And then when I moved to London, it became a big part of just... Yeah, and then you can soon slip into it. And the thing with alcohol is that once you're kind of drinking quite a lot, you start to crave it. So that it's very difficult. And then you drink more and more and more because you get more and more used to drinking more.
Yeah.
And
no, I get that.
Yeah. So I remember when I found out I was pregnant with Grace and being at a party and having to go to the bar guy and say, can you make me like something that looks like alcohol, like a gin and tonic, but it's not a gin and tonic or something, and don't tell anyone, because I had to pretend. And then you have to sort of pretend that you're a bit drunk. Yeah. I mean, the good thing is once everyone's drunk, they don't realise you're not drunk. So they can't tell.
Yeah.
And then you just sort of do a Houdini, as my husband says, where you just sort of disappear and no one notices that you've gone because they're all drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's culturally very, very difficult not to drink.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned to you today, again, no judgment around these women, but I was in a cafe in Brighton early on a Saturday morning, waiting to go to a Pilates class, having a coffee, and 3 women came in to have brunch, and they ordered cocktails at 9 a.m. Yeah. And they're my age, and I thought, you know, again, do what you like, but my God, I would feel so unwell. And by mid-morning, I'd want, you know, I love Saturday where I can get up and do stuff. And I thought, I bet those women are sort of on a constant hunt for things that can make me feel better during perimenopause, menopause.
Yeah.
That whole, I need more energy, I need less brain fog, I need better sleep.
I want to remove the feelings of the week. tough week at work kind of vibe as well.
And then the worst thing you could do is drink alcohol. I mean, literally the worst thing you could do on so many levels, and all the risks of breast cancer and I just, it's so interesting. There's such a disconnect.
Yeah.
People I know who are like, oh yeah, and I've got to take this supplement and do this icy plunge pool and my breathing exercise and all this. And then the alcohol doesn't come into it.
Yeah, there's a disconnect.
Like, right, you can do all as much of that as you like, and then the drinking bit is Yeah,
and I wonder if some of that is to overcompensate so that they feel less shit about having a drink as well. Because I know that if I had been hungover, I'd have to work extra hard that week to get myself out of a funk. So it's like I'd do all of the cold water stuff and because I just needed anything to get me to feel back to normal. I'd feel back to normal again by like Friday, go out again.
Ready to drink again.
And then it's like the same cycle would come around again.
Yeah.
And then, sometimes I think, well, in my experience, it was to overcompensate because I felt so shit that I had to do all these things to get me out of that hole that I was in.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting around culture. Like, I think it's a culture thing. It's an upbringing thing. Like you said, your upbringing was, you were given a bit of wine that was good wine, shown to appreciate it and enjoy it. And I think I definitely went down a route at one point of, what alcohol do I enjoy? Like, is there something I like? And I remember that gin and tonic is something I do enjoy. So I bought some to have at home because I was like, that's just a thing people do, isn't it? Like on a Friday, you'd have a drink.
3:00. It's got a name.
Yeah. And I started to get into the habit of like, on a Friday, I'd have a couple of gin and tonics while I was watching something on TV. And it was lovely. I'd enjoy doing that. I didn't get drunk. It was just I'm enjoying the drink. And then I found that there was a particularly stressful week. And I went into the kitchen and I thought, I could just have a gin right now. And it was like 6 p.m. on a Tuesday.
Right. Yeah.
And I thought, I don't need to do that. But I was craving it.
Yeah.
Because it's that like feeling of I wanted that Friday, I can let go of the week. I wanted that feeling, and I was associating that feeling with the gin. And I clocked it, but I wonder how many people don't clock it and then do go and have one on a Tuesday night, and then it becomes like 3 days a week. And the question I've always sat with is, when does it become a problem? Because culture tells us that's normal. Like, when does it cross the line of you're reliant?
Yeah.
And when is it just enjoyment? Because in this country, it's like, binge drinking is just seen as normal. So it's like hard to
just kind of that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that, and because you do get that surge of dopamine, that first drink, your brain remembers that. So it goes, I want to feel that. Have a drink. Yeah. But also, the amount of times I've had a meeting, like a Zoom with someone, and a woman my age, or and they'll say, how's your week? I say, yeah, really busy. Oh, well, it's nearly 6:00, and crack open the wine. Yeah. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want to do that. Actually what I'd like is a nice massage. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Like if I were really rich and I'd have a really good chef who made really healthy food, nice. A massage person, you know what I mean? Just like all those, that's what I'd want to do. But that all requires quite a lot of discipline, self-discipline, because that's effort, whereas cracking open a wine is easy. Yeah, it is, and quick. And it does relax you initially because it shuts stuff down in your brain, and it's a part of your brain that is associated with sort of judgment. And so people who are very shy, or when they drink, they're less shy because it shuts down that bit of the brain. What do they call it? Dutch courage. Dutch courage. Yeah, that's something I've heard a lot. Yeah. Drink this, it'll give you some Dutch courage. Yeah. Yeah, or nervous flyers. Yes. Who drink. I've seen nervous flyers where the staff have literally just given them some alcohol to be like, here you go, have this on the house. Calm down, please. Just scary. But it's weird how it's like yourself. Numb yourself. Numb your feet, rather than just sitting and chatting with them maybe, or letting them go and see the pilot and ask them a question. Teaching them a breathing exercise. Yeah, that's the go-to. It's like a quick. Yeah. Because what you were speaking about is the effort. It's like, that's just a quick. Yeah. Just numbing the initial feeling. Yeah. And then you don't have to dive into it. But
speaking of flying, I went to Ibiza last year.
Yeah.
Completely sober. I didn't have one drink while I was there. To be fair, I was with two friends that also were kind of happy to not have a drink, which made things easier.
Helps.
But I remember going to a big gig in one of the super clubs, and it was the first time I was going to something like that. And I was shocked when I went up and got 3 Diet Cokes, and it was, I can't remember how much it was now, €70 or something. And I knew that it would be expensive because it was a super club. And then I heard somebody next to me being served alcohol, and it was so much less money to drink.
Yeah.
So at first I thought it'd actually be cheaper for me to drink alcohol right now, but I stuck to my guns. Then when we got to the stage and we were watching everything, I just looked around me and I was just shocked at how numb people were. Like, they weren't even experiencing what they'd come to experience. They were just watching not even watching it. It was like they were just completely numbed out, probably on drugs as well. And I just found myself feeling really sad for them, because I was like, I'm getting so much high, natural high.
Yeah, because you're fully present.
Just by being fully present in this experience that I've paid quite a lot of money to be here.
Yeah.
And I think it just had me thinking about how people drink. If they're getting that high, is that natural high enough? Like, are they going for the music and having that experience, or are they going to just get that high that they used to with alcohol? And I found that quite sad, that there's so much that life has to offer us that people just spend a lot of their lives numbing, because they've kind of trained their brain that that's not enough.
Yeah, which is a dopamine thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you kind of have to get through that. But I think it's also, again, this thing that, well, you're not having a good time unless you're twatted. You can't go to a club in Ibiza and not drink. Like, that's mental.
And I recognise that I'm seen as quite weird, or people are like, how are you doing this? And don't get me wrong, there are times where I'm like, it would be easier if I was drunk right now, because there's actually a lot of people, I mean, no offence, drunk people are quite annoying. No, the more and more they get drunk, if you're not drunk as well, you're getting drinks
really
spilled over you, you're getting people like coming up to you and there's no personal
shouting
space.
in your ear, sort of spitting at you.
And so it is easier in those moments to be drunk.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to let go of that feeling of, I now remember the entire night. I do get tired quicker. That's one thing. One downside is by 1 a.m. I was like, I'm ready to go home now. People were going to the club over the road and then they're going to be partying till 6 a.m. I don't think you can really do that unless you've got a stimulant of some kind in your body. It's just not normal.
Yeah.
So, there's things like that I can understand why people gravitate towards those things, but it's just not for me. So I just accept that there's a cut-off point for me if I don't drink.
Yeah.
And I get to actually enjoy all the things people do anyway.
Well, that's it. Do you enjoy it any less? I suspect you don't. In fact, you probably enjoy stuff more.
Yeah. And I think it does help that I had 2 people with me that also weren't drinking, because I think before I've got drunk to stay connected to the people around me, but actually, is it really connection? You're just all just becoming... I don't think drunk people can actually have a coherent conversation when they get past a certain point. It's kind of like
I think you think you are at the time,
but you're just kind of,
and then you don't remember it
when you're also one in the room. You realize, people aren't actually having a conversation, they're just kind of talking amongst each other,
the same thing.
So I think that's the thing I crave most, is like connection. So, and to feel embodied. I spent so much time and effort trying to get embodied.
What do you mean by that?
Feeling in your body. So being like, the reason I had so much anxiety before is I just wasn't tuned into my body. So now when I go to a gig, I can like feel the music in my body, like the vibration from the floor. I'm like looking at all of the amazing stuff that's going on the stage. I can feel the emotions that's coming up for me. I'm like in, I don't know how to describe it. It's like I'm feeling everything. If I then have a drink, I'm pulling myself completely out of my body.
Yeah.
And I'd spent so much time trying to pull myself back in. Why would I want to do that? So I don't.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people would be quite envious in a way of you, that you don't have that pull to the alcohol and you can very easily. So I think a lot of people would love to not drink.
Yeah.
But find it so difficult. And so I drank in my 20s, largely to fit in, but also just I then got used to it, and I got into that quite an unhealthy zone. Then had children, and you can't really drink, and then last year I was doing that, not drinking loads, but I would spend all week trying to feel good and get rid of the brain fog and have more energy, and feel more motivated. And then Friday, it's so ingrained, it's like, oh, Friday, gin and tonic, or whatever. And then feel quite crap on Monday, not like hungover, just a bit crap.
Yeah.
And just, okay, now, and then it's obvious, but then it's like, okay, well, it's the alcohol is the common factor here at the weekend. So by Friday, I'm feeling good. So I think, oh, I'm feeling good. Oh, I'll have a drink. Yay. And then
back to the cycle, yeah.
So then I listened to an episode of the Huberman Lab, which I recommend anybody everyone should listen to it, really, because he really dispels this myth that moderate drinking is actually good for you. Because I think, especially the red wine industry, and, I do love a nice glass of red wine, but it's like, no, it's actually good for you. People who drink red wine live longer, and there's resveratrol and all that stuff. And it's really, unfortunately, not true. I think that a lot of the examples they use where people drink a little bit, sort of places where they're called blue zones in Italy.
Yes.
There's quite a few in Italy. It's not the alcohol. It's a combination of lots of things, but I think largely it's the community piece. So they're not lonely. Old people don't get put in old folks' homes. Everybody looks after each other. They have quite a simple life, but other people who want drink to be okay go, oh, look, you see, they live really long. It's because they drink a couple of glasses of red wine every day.
Yeah, and they need that reassurance.
So I listened to it, and I took some notes, but I do recommend...
We can put the episode in the show notes.
It's really good. It's really long, but he goes through everything. And so things that I worry about, and it's probably because I'm a bit older now, but obviously breast cancer, cancer in general, and brain degeneration. So on the sort of lower end, just brain fog and my memory's not as sharp, not saying that's happening, but I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
To, full-blown dementia, Alzheimer's. So those are things that are massively on the rise and that I fear. And he talks about a study, it was a UK study, and we'll put a link, and it was called the Associations Between Alcohol Consumption and Grey and White Matter Volumes in the Brain. And they looked at 35,000 people with sort of healthy middle-aged adults who drink couple of drinks a day, which most people go, oh, that's fine. That's, your 14 units or whatever. That's probably good for you. And there was evidence that it thins the neocortex, which is basically you lose neurons. So that really made me think, crikey, okay. And then a lot about gut health. So I have a lot of gut issues, a lot of irritable bowel, heartburn, nausea, and it's, I've had it since I was a teenager. And something never occurred to me is that alcohol is, it's antibacterial. So it kills bacteria.
Oh yeah, of course.
So it kills your gut bacteria. So I could spend all week eating all my kimchi and trying to eat all my different varieties of veg and fibre to improve my, and it's the thing of the day at the moment, isn't the microbiome and gut health.
Yeah.
And then you have a few drinks and it just wipes
Kills
it out.
it. That makes so much sense.
So that really stuck in my head. So I was like, I spend half my life trying to figure out how to make my gut feel better. The impact on sleep is nuts. And I know so many people who drink so they can go to sleep and say, well, how will I go to sleep if I don't have a drink? And the whole nightcap, have a nightcap. And that people say, you know, I've had insomnia since I was a kid. Well, just have a whiskey. I'm like, that's really bad advice. And I know that instinctively because alcohol keeps me awake.
I'm the same.
Or you pass out for a bit and then you wake up wide awake and your heart's pounding.
Yeah.
And that's all the effects of it having, which he explains really well in this podcast. You're listening to it and you're thinking there's really no upside. The things I like about alcohol, which are the things that are hard to give up, aside from the societal kind of culture piece, is it does taste delicious.
Yeah.
Like a really delicious wine or gin and tonic, or, you know, a lovely, oh my God, what's the cocktail I drink? Negroni. It's delicious. And you do get this, especially if you're with other people who drink, there's a kind of euphoria which does come from that dopamine hit that is quite hard to replicate in the evening in a social setting without alcohol. It's very easy to replicate at different times. If you go cold water swimming with your friends or play tennis, or like I always think of kids in playgrounds, or they don't need alcohol to have a good time
and be themselves
and have fun.
They don't need any Dutch courage actually at all.
No Dutch courage really. Do you know what I mean? So it's definitely something that we learn over time. So I like alcohol for those reasons. And also my husband drinks alcohol, so that's quite tricky on a Friday. Like fancy G&T.
Then it's
like, oh no, I'm all right. And then it's a bit like, oh you know, just drink on my own, which is miserable. So it's complicated. But I was listening to this thinking, oh my God, the sleep thing, stress, mood,
stomach, IBS,
all the long-term risks, but just the short-term things, the dopamine piece. So it affects your dopamine, so it's harder and harder to get those dopamine hits. So just everything made me think, oh, I'm just gonna try. So I did 60 days of no alcohol. I think it was sort of May and June, which is quite tricky months.
I was gonna say, midsummer
to do it. But I literally felt amazing. Yeah. And like to the point where I think I was boring people with how amazing I felt. Not weirdly, I kept it quiet from quite a lot of people because I didn't want the
questions
in my ear. Oh, what's wrong with you? Oh, you weirdo. Oh, a few don't hurt. Oh, it's actually good for you. Yeah, red wine's good for you. Which is what people my age will say to you. I even had somebody say to me when I said, well, the gut bacteria thing, I went, oh yes, but it's a fermented, wine is a fermented drink.
That's so funny.
I was like,
it's because they're just trying to get, there's always a loophole.
Okay. Yeah, okay. And some people feel fine.
Yeah.
You know.
It's you personally and me personally.
I just don't feel great, but I think most people don't feel really great. If you, and like you say, a lot of people don't have that mind-body connection you were talking about.
You can actually feel just really good in your body day to day, and it's actually possible. Like it's not, you don't just have to feel sluggish and then feel good for a couple of days.
Yeah.
It can be always, but you just have to, I guess it is a sacrifice, isn't it? It's what you're sacrificing, because there are some sacrifices to not drinking.
Well, yeah, but I guess what are those sacrifices?
They're all social sacrifices.
Are they sacrifices?
Good
They're
question.
not really though, are they?
They're, I guess what I mean by sacrifice is you're choosing your health over staying out a bit later, or feeling like you're connected. There's like all those things that people probably feel they're getting from alcohol. As you were saying, the payoff, like having a nice drink with your partner afterward. It's like those moments that you're choosing your health over those. There is a bit of a like, you have to choose one or the other.
I think sacrifice is, or is it you have to have quite a lot of self-discipline to push through those. But some people also think, well, my group of friends, that's our whole social life. is around alcohol. So if I don't drink, how am I part of that anymore? So that's a really difficult one.
That is.
But that, going back to that mind-body connection that you were talking about, a lot of people just don't have that at all. So they don't actually know how they feel.
No.
So you know how sometimes people say, I don't know, you think you're hungry and actually you're thirsty, right?
Yes.
And actually just have a drink of water, or, you know, you've got a headache and you think, oh, God, and it's just actually you're dehydrated.
Yeah.
And I've become really in tune, probably because I feel a bit ill most of the time, trying to figure out like, oh, what's that? Well, I'm very in touch.
Aware,
and aware, but a lot of people aren't. So I think a lot of people think, oh yeah, I feel fine drinking, but then they don't think, but I do have brain fog most of the time. I do feel a bit low. I need quite a lot of caffeine.
Yeah.
They just don't really kind of
make the dots.
Yeah. But so yeah, when I stopped drinking for 60 days, I felt amazing. All my gut issues went. My sleep was amazing.
Yeah.
I was really motivated because you're just way more productive. And then you get I'd get on a massive high getting up on a Saturday and going to box fit class really, really early. Yeah. And then coming back and everyone's still in bed. I'm like, I've already done a box fit class.
Yeah.
You can't do that if you've been drinking the night before. So I didn't come up with this, but I think it's a really good way of expressing alcohol. Is basically alcohol robs some of your happiness from tomorrow.
That's a really good way of putting it,
and I've probably just hammed up. I've just probably wrecked that. I've misquoted, but that it's really good way of looking at it, isn't it?
Yeah. You're borrowing it. I like that.
Yeah, and I think when you don't drink, you actually feel happier, and you're not borrowing any happiness from tomorrow. You're actually, it kind of gets better and better each day.
Yeah.
And then we went on holiday at the end of my 60 days, and I was thinking, I really don't want to start drinking again. We were on holiday with family, and it was a combination of, it does feel quite weird to be not drinking.
Yeah.
And a little bit of, why aren't you drinking, you weirdo?
Yeah.
A little bit of, you know, you're with a lot of family in the house, and alcohol definitely helps some situations where, you know, it's all quite hectic, and I quite like things to be quite, I mean, I love a party, and you've seen me after a few drinks.
I've seen you life and soul of the party.
I can be life and soul without alcohol. I can stay up all night dancing without alcohol. But yeah, some situations you just think, oh, it's just easier to drink. I'll go on then. And then you think, oh, well, you know, and then the next day, and then I'm back to drinking probably Friday and Saturday, not loads.
Yeah.
Or maybe on a Saturday. And it's okay, but there is a bit of me that just thinks I would quite like to not drink at all, but there's also a bit of me that just can't accept that idea at all. And like, it's Grace's 18th birthday this month.
Yeah.
And she's already, you know, requested what champagne she would like. I'm like, well, I can't not drink on her 18th birthday. And it's so
ingrained.
It's like, it won't be a celebration.
That's a celebration thing again, yeah.
It won't be, basically, you know, forget that you're 18. There's no celebration because I'm not drinking. Yeah. And it is so in there, isn't it?
It is. It's really hard.
But I do know I would feel way better.
And I think you're providing the champagne for Grace, and then you can let them drink it.
Oh, dude, no.
And also, I think that's the other thing. Some people I've heard say, this isn't you, well, I have heavily caveat that. They can't just have one.
Oh,
so they'll say, no, it's a waste. Why would I just have one? I'd rather not drink or get absolutely hammered. There's no in between. And that's another mindset that I've seen of like, what's the point if you're just going to have one? And I think that's for people that maybe don't enjoy the taste. So they're just doing it to get drunk.
Yeah.
Whereas if you enjoy the taste of alcohol, I can imagine a nice glass of wine, it's very different.
Yeah.
I've never actually really liked the taste of alcohol, and maybe that's another thing that's on my side. Like wine, I can't get behind.
Yeah.
So I think that also plays to my advantage. If you do enjoy it, like you say, if you've got this amazing champagne that you know you're going to pick a really nice one,
tastes delicious,
then you're going to be more inclined to say, I'm going to have a glass.
But then I can have a glass.
Exactly.
And then
there's maybe nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And actually, this has happened before where he's going to kill me for saying this because he doesn't drink very much. But my husband will say, well, we might as well finish it.
Yeah.
But no, let's put the corky thing in, these special corks you can get that keep the gas in, and put it in the fridge and have. So we've got. So yeah, I have my influence, but yeah. What else did we want to talk about on the alcohol front? Are there any other bits that you wanted to?
Was I had a point just a minute ago? So it's gone.
So feeling less connected, less awkward. A lot of people, do it because they feel less awkward in social situations, which is where smoking was quite handy.
Yeah, and that's the point about being bored, or like when you were speaking about your friend who's like, if I stop drinking, I might be bored by my partner. Like, there's something that I think's really interesting when you stop drinking. I realised, do I actually like this person, or do I like this scenario I'm in, or did I just used to like it because I was drunk? And that's something that is also awkward to sit with for people, is like, if you go and meet up with your friends and then you all decide, let's have a sober night, and then you end up really being quite bored. One, there's actually nothing wrong with being bored sometimes. It's actually really good for your brain to be bored. Yeah. But two, if it's a reoccurring thing, if you're sober and in the spaces and places that you're in and the people that you're with, and you're not having the conversations you'd like to have, or you don't feel good in these scenarios, are they your places and people? Or was it the alcohol that was just making that bearable? Yeah. And that's like a really scary thing to sit with that a lot of people might have to face. And it won't be your entire life, but you know, like if you need that as a crutch, that should be a sign that maybe that you don't actually enjoy that place or person. Yeah. And on a broader note, if you need alcohol as a crutch for, I need it to relax, or I need it to sleep, or, to switch off, then again, I think that's a sign that something needs looking at. I mean, it's difficult for you to say because you don't really drink, but people who'd like to stop drinking or drink less, what about some practical tips? I mean, I found it's only the first sort of half an hour of an evening or drinking situation where you have to really like hang on. Once you get through that, you're like, oh, I'm so glad I'm not drinking. Yeah, and everyone's just kind of and you get over it. It's just that first bit. And I've found that if I've got something nice to drink in that first bit, a nice soft drink, there's quite a lot of good mocktails you can get now. That's a good tip. Martini Vibrante is a favourite of mine. Don't get water. Get something water, exciting. No. Sucky, no. Yeah. No. Just get I love water, but no. Something that tastes nice. Yeah. And then once you're through that first bit, then it's a breeze, and then you get really smug. And then, obviously, try not to show your smugness. But it's actually really nice. Yeah. So that would be one thing I would say. Just think, because I think people, I've got to get through a whole night without drinking. It's only about half an hour. That's a good tip. That's a good one. Have something nice to drink that tastes nice. Don't worry if it's sugary and sweet. Doesn't matter. No. People will say, oh, it's got, if it's got to be healthy, it's fine. Have a bit of alcohol. Yeah, have a bit of sugar over alcohol. Yeah, I mean, alcohol's just sugary anyway, isn't it? Yeah. So I think that's something. I think people often say you've got to replace it with something else. I don't know if you do, because I'm not sure it's that easy. I think keeping a diary really helped. So I kept a sort of journal of. Oh, that's a good idea. How good I felt. Yeah. And then I had a party coming up, and I was a bit worried about it. So I wrote down things I was worried about. And then we turned up at this party. I was completely sober. Everyone was trashed. They didn't notice I wasn't drunk. A couple of people handed me drinks, even though I said I didn't want one. And then I just put it down, and they didn't notice. Yeah.
And then, generally found everyone quite painful, shouty. And I just thought, oh my God, I'm going to feel so good tomorrow. And that's, you want to sort of replace the, addiction's the wrong word, but that kind of
dopamine,
the dopamine of the alcohol with the tomorrow I'm going to feel really good. And like we talked about in the fear episode, doing something difficult, because that is difficult, makes you feel so good and on such a high.
Yeah.
That if you can just keep that in your head, and I do think it's becoming more acceptable.
Yeah, I think it is.
Not to drink.
Yeah.
Especially in older groups as well, and people my age. I don't think it's...
But there's still a bit of like, if other people are drinking, they feel they might be feeling a bit judged and they try and get you to it.
Yes.
To rope you in. That can be quite difficult. You will get questions regardless.
That is difficult.
I think my advice would be, if you are going to like a gig or something where people are going to be drinking, I find it's easier. I think mine's reversed. I find the beginning of the night easy. It's when I start flagging at like 11 p.m. and people are like, just have a drink, it will wake you up.
Yeah.
Because I'm having a really great time, but actually I'm really knackered now. Because I'm naturally, my body's tired and it's not wired. So I then go into the night knowing that I'm not going to be able to meet everybody where they're at. And if I'm okay with that, I normally make sure I've booked a taxi for a certain time. So I'm not tempted to just keep going, because then if I have done it, I've then started drinking at 11 p.m.
Oh no.
And then been like going home at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I did all of that beginning bit, and then I've got the kind of come down because I've given in, because I'm tired and I'll do anything to stay out.
Yeah.
And I think that I've accepted that there's a cutoff for me. That's the first, rather than trying to keep up sober, that's quite impossible to do.
That is interesting.
And the other thing was if you are going to drink, if you want to be more embodied but still want to drink, just notice how you're feeling as you're drinking.
Yeah.
So rather than just knocking them back and, being really fast and just keeping up with everyone else's pace.
Yeah.
When I do drink now, I'm like, I kind of know my limit.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, I've had a couple now. How am I feeling?
Yeah.
I feel quite good and buzzed. I could carry on now. I don't need to drink more. A lot of people just disassociate and carry on. And
I think, I like this feeling, I'll have another.
Yeah. And then also the next day, instead of trying to numb it again, just notice how you're feeling the day after. And then maybe just take notice of how long it takes your body to get out of that. And just be a bit more aware of how you feel. Yeah. Even without having to change any of your, drinking habits. Just being a bit more aware.
Yeah. And writing it down does help.
Yeah, and just a connection of, I had a really bad week this week, and maybe it was because I drank a bit too much last weekend.
Well, something I also do is when I don't feel good, I make a note in my diary, my electronic diary. I have like a separate diary for it. It's in a different colour.
Yeah.
And I kind of write just very brief, how I felt and what I'd done. And I had a look through, and pretty much 9 times out of 10, I'd had some alcohol, even just a small amount.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, look, it's literally plain to see. I've tracked it. And nearly every diary entry is had a glass of wine the night before. So yeah, I think just being more aware.
Yeah, and not letting other people's, that's a very hard thing to say, but not letting other people's judgments infiltrate your own mindset around it. So if you are wanting to stay sober on a night, just being quite, as you're saying, if you can get through that first bit, they're going to stop questioning you anyway. And they forget. Because it is, if it was any other drug, imagine if people were like, oh, go on. Like, you wouldn't be friends with them. Like a hard drug.
Don't be boring. Have some coke. Come on.
Yeah, I'd be like out of there. Like,
or even cigarettes.
Yeah.
Come on, have a fag. I don't smoke.
They don't put
don't be boring.
Images on bottles of alcohol, do they, like they do cigarettes now? But it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's so funny. I mean, I'm not a fan of sanitizing stuff for people, but I was watching St Elmo's Fire, which none of you will know because it's a very old film. It's one of my favourite films as a teenager. And I started watching it last night for some reason. And everyone smokes all of the time, even in hospitals.
Wow.
And I can remember when
Smoking on planes and stuff as well.
I can remember those days. But now, obviously, you very rarely see smoking on and there's a warning, isn't there? Which, again, I'm not a massive fan of that sort of stuff. I think people book in. But yeah, the way alcohol is portrayed
It's completely different to smoking,
completely different. I mean, you barely see smoking now, and there's a warning, isn't there? Yeah, so lots to...
Yeah. Well, and we'd be interested to hear your thoughts as well if you're listening.
Yeah.
If you're watching, especially, leave a comment on your thoughts and around being sober.
Yeah. And like I said at the beginning, here I go again. I don't judge people with anything. I'm very much, into personal freedom, and also think life should be fun and joyous. But I think that's the thing, is alcohol can be pretty joyless for lots of reasons. And if you're seeking joy and energy, and then alcohol might be one to look at.
Yeah, it's not the place to be looking for it, really.
Sorry.
Yeah. Borrowing happiness, I like that. That's the thing I'm taking away.
Borrowing happiness from tomorrow.
Yeah, I like that.
Instead of banking lots of it. Yeah.
Oh, thanks for having me, Alex.
Thank you. See you on the next one.